Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast. Today, we have a very special episode for you all today. In the spirit of February and Valentine's Day being in this month, we are having a special dating podcast episode for you all. And we have a great mixture of people on here, people you've heard on the L7C countless times. First, you have Dr. Kassie Lowery. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm all right. Martin, please don't call me ma'am.
I'm just saying. Actually, that's what I do for everyone, ma'am and sir. But anyway, we have our real estate guy, Junior Array. How are you doing today, sir?
Well, how are you?
I'm doing good. We have our pop culture expert, Miss Chelsea Heppert. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm good.
We also have our My Hero Academia enthusiast, Miss Andrea Alaniz. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How's everybody doing?
I'm good.
And then we have the captain of the L7C, Byron Mitchell. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good. No complaints.
So this dating episode was actually Junior's idea. He brought this up near the end of December, saying that we should do a dating episode. And I was like, why not? Especially for the month of February with Valentine's Day. So we're just going to ask some questions, hear everyone's opinions on stuff, on what dating is like in 2022, and just have a good old time. So first questions going out to Kassie. How differently has dating changed, in your opinion, in the past 5 to 10 years?
I wouldn't say that other than the pandemic hitting, I think the last 5 years haven't been too crazy different, but past 10 years have definitely been very different because I remember kind of being single right when online dating started to become like a huge thing, more of like the apps and things like that. So wasn't something you regularly talked about, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. But I think over time, it's become a lot more normal to meet people on dating apps, which we'll get into, but it's both good and bad. So I think that it gives you a lot of opportunities to meet some new people that you'd never meet otherwise, for sure. But obviously, there's always a double-edged sword that comes with all things that are good.
Anyone else want to add on to what Kassie said of how dating's been, how it's different from the past 5 to 10 years?
I think she hit it on the head. Dating apps have become much more acceptable. I remember 10 years ago, like she said, no one spoke of dating apps, and it was a taboo of oh yeah, I met my significant other on a dating app. It was just well, that's weird. Why don't you go out and meet someone normal? But now it's totally acceptable to meet your spouse on online dating app.
Anyone else want to add anything?
Also, there are a bazillion and a half apps now. The ones that used to be present were Tinder was a big one. It wasn't just a hookup app at that time. It was an actual dating app. And now it's turned into kind of that taboo that if you're on Tinder, you're only looking for a hookup. But back when we first started seeing these apps come out, most people know about Match and eHarmony, and then Tinder came in, and now we have Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Grindr. I was keep something with a bagel. Lots of different ones. Honestly, I haven't been on all of them. I've seen plenty of them, but there are a lot of them now.
So going off to now, Chelsea, do you think dating's gotten better or worse in the past couple of years, 5 to 10?
I personally suck at dating. So I would say for me, it's gotten worse. Mainly because online dating, you have to make the awkward small talk. And it's not that I don't care. It's just that it's hard to move past that. Hey, how are you today? Oh, I'm good. And then there's nothing else to talk about. I feel that's always been my experience with online dating. So I think it's harder. I've had more luck meeting people through friends and actually being able to have those connections and being able to talk more.
Andrea, what do you think? Has it gotten better or worse?
I feel like a little bit of both. I think it just depends on kind of your preference. I feel like the dating apps give you a little bit of distance initially if you struggle with kind of immediate interpersonal kind of contact. So at least you can get a little bit, I don't know, maybe build a little bit of a background before meeting somebody, but also at the same time, if you are somebody that kind of, vibes and clicks with someone off the bat, then you could get stuck in, that kind of hesitation of, do I want to say anything deeper than just, hi, how are you? Oh, that's good. I actually have never been on a dating app. I have not delved into that realm quite yet. So I can't really speak too much to how that all goes. This is just kind of my opinion based off of a lot of my friends that have done online dating.
Byron, Kassie, Junior, anything you want to add? Has it gotten better or worse?
I think it's gotten worse, actually.
Okay, why?
I just feel like nowadays, especially with social media, everything's just fake. It's just pure fake bullshit. So, and like I said, I don't spend my time and effort and energy on that shit. So, I personally feel like it's worse.
Byron, Kassie?
I can see Junior's point of how it got worse, but I feel like it's gotten better for like people who find it hard to like go up and approach women or anything like that. So like using a dating app is.
So then you're saying like how you said like it's so like some people are hard to talk to women. So like what do? They want to hide behind a screen and let the screen do the talking for them? I think that's just bullshit.
I mean, it's not the screen doing the talking; it's still them talking. It's just easier for them to talk through texting or talk through keyboard. Like it's just hard for some people to go up and have those connections with people. So I think in that aspect, it's gotten better for those type of people, like dating apps.
Fair.
Yeah, I think the thing is like it's easier for introverts to date, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that like as somebody who would never approach somebody in public, like I can be very like outgoing and all of that. But as far as like dating, I'm not gonna ever walk up to somebody and be like, hey, like I think you're like somebody that I'd like to go on a date with. Like that's just not who I am. And I think Byron's probably pretty similar to how I am. I think it's nice because like you get to meet a lot of people that you normally wouldn't meet, but overall, like there's always somebody waiting right there to take your place if you get boring. And I think that's kind of like part of what's happened and kind of has ruined dating, especially with online. Like there's always somebody else to swipe on.
Like, well, shit. Hey, Kassie, you and Byron, you guys are more than welcome to come out with me on the weekend, and I'll show you a good time.
I've been out with you during Clinton Bay. I know.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Oh my god. Next,
I'll get you guys' confidence out the roof.
Next one, we'll throw it to Junior. So this one's a 3-part question.
Yeah.
So right now, in your opinion, like with dating, like just Kassie said, you could just swipe and you can be out of someone's picture. Why are people dating now? Are they dating to find love and get married anymore? Do people actually know why they want to date in this day and age? And the third part of this question, has hookup culture ruined dating forever?
I wouldn't. So what was the first part again?
Are people dating to find love and get married anymore?
So for the first part, it just depends on that person. If they're ready to settle down, then absolutely they're going to find that person that fits their qualities that they want a significant other, and then they're going to settle down 100%. What's the next one?
Do people actually know why they want to date in this day and age?
No, they do not. And I can speak for myself. Some of my past relationships, I was just dating just because I was dating. Like that sounds horrible. Like I was just with that person just to be with that person. I don't know, but I definitely feel like some people don't actually know. They're just dating just because they're bored. In my case, I was probably, but yeah.
And has hookup culture ruined dating?
It just depends on who you ask. It just depends. Shit, honestly, because these apps, like the Tinder apps and all that shit, like I personally feel like people aren't getting on those apps to find love. They're getting on those apps to fuck. In my opinion, I think honestly they're just there just to fuck. And I definitely feel like it has significant impact on the dating scene.
Anyone else can just hop in on those three questions on what you guys think.
I mean, a lot of it, I agree with Junior. Like, I think that a lot of people are confused about why they're dating, and some of it is like, you really need to take a step back before you get into it. I mean, some people are upfront and say like, hey, like, I don't know what I want, and that's cool. And I mean, you can take it at face value. Most people probably don't. They think that they can change other people. And that's like the worst thing that you can think. But huh?
It was sneezing.
It was on Andrea's thing.
I was gonna say, fuck.
No, that was my dad in the background. Sorry, y'all. Sorry, Kassie.
No, you're fine.
Continue on, Kassie.
No, I think that, I mean, like, a lot of what I don't want to say this ruined dating, but I mean, like, the reality is like everything is just a swipe away. Like, whatever you want, you can pretty much get. Except for like, unfortunately, like a long-term, like permanent relationship. I mean, there are definitely people who do it, which is great, but like, it feels like we're looking for like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow at this point.
So I have a question though for anyone that anyone can answer. So be honest, what's the purpose? Like, if you were to download Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, whatever, what do you think your main purpose is going to be on that app? I want the honest opinion. Do you really think you're going to find a true love on that fucking app, or they're just to fuck? Like, I'm actually curious.
I mean, I've only dated for relationships. Like, as far as who I am as a person, like, that's just hookup culture's never been part of who I am.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate the answer, actually. Go ahead, Byron. I would love to hear your answer.
Me personally, I've never been a part of hookup culture either. Like, all my have been in relationships. So for me personally, if I were to go on a dating app, I would be looking for someone to, date, not just hook up with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
From those answers alone, if you had, because obviously, like, we were just joking about ages, like Byron and Kassie being the two oldest, and then I'm the third oldest. But if you put people in here younger than Junior, their answers would be probably completely different. Because they grew up in the hookup culture. It's like the same as growing up in like the technological age.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that though.
Really?
Yeah,
like a 21-year-old, 22-year-old?
No, I'm not saying that, like, I think a lot of these questions really depend on the person. Vast majority probably are still looking for just a quick hookup, and that's just part of growing up. But I think that there's definitely still people that, like, I see that are younger than me, because I have a gamut of people that I work with that, like, are looking for like relationships, and like, it's just not happening. So I don't know that it's like a sure, steady thing. I think that as you get older, definitely it's going to get more towards like relationships though.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
So what things are you looking for on a first date?
Shut up, Junior. I think like that easy connection, because I'm the type of person who, one, I'm awkward when it comes to like dating situations. So I want to feel comfortable. And if I don't feel comfortable, there's no point in pursuing it, I guess. Because like you just get that vibe of like, okay, I can kind of be myself, or like, this is not what I'm looking for. But I think being comfortable and having like that conversation, like just being able to flow. It doesn't have to be deep, but it should be natural. So I think for a first date, just getting to know each other.
Okay. And Andrea? Oh, did you have more, Chelsea? I'm sorry.
No.
You sure? Andrea?
I mean, I'm basically the same as Chelsea. I just really I'm the same way, very awkward in a first date situation. I look to feel comfortable, as well as if I am feeling uncomfortable, if the other person is going to pick up on that and maybe kind of help me out, or if they're just going to keep watching me flop around, because that would just make me feel that much worse and not want to ever have contact with them again, just for sheer embarrassment. So, I mean, just being comfortable, and I would also want to look to see that they are actually interested in getting to know me, like Chelsea said, not necessarily like super deep conversations, because like oversharing is a big no on a first date, but like actually having questions that, you know, go to who you are instead of just small talk through most of it, at least for me. But yeah, the biggest thing is whether or not I feel comfortable, and or if they can kind of help me through those nerves. And I don't want to say if they can't, then there's no second date. It's more so if they've kind of taken notice and are concerned that I'm nervous. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Just to go off of that for a different question for Kassie, Byron, and Junior, then on the first date, what are like instant disqualifications? Is that like when you go to the first date?
I'll go first.
Junior always goes first. Always.
No, for me though, for sure. If I'm actually like trying to see where it goes, if the person I'm on a date with is on their phone constantly, that's a fucking red flag, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
that's a big red flag. Yeah, that's a no. That's a no go for me. I'll get the. You can pay for your own fucking meal. I'm out of here.
That's a good one. Kassie, Byron, what are some instant disqualifications for y'all?
So, I mean, mine is being rude to the wait staff.
That's a good one.
Yeah, like I don't have time for people that are gonna be rude. Also, like not understanding, and this is probably gonna like leak into some of your other questions. Sorry, Martin.
Perfectly fine.
I am a terrible first date, especially if you're nervous, probably. I really like talking about like the things that you're not supposed to talk about on a first date. Probably
like what?
Oh, that's the next question. Those are coming up.
Okay, never mind.
But I mean, like, I have pretty solid values. Like, I'm not at the stage in my life where I'm still trying to find myself. Like, I know who I am. And like, there are things that are important to me.
Wow.
What?
Kassie, we're on a first date with you. Apparently, Junior wants to know. First date, who are you?
Who am I? Well, as a matter of fact. But I mean, like, having issues with people, like different diverse groups, like I have issues with that. Like if you don't understand that like you have certain privileges that other people don't, like that's a problem. Not necessarily that you like don't understand, but they're not willing to like take a look at that. So that's a large red flag for me, and that's pretty much a like no-go. Also not wanting kids, but that's because I want kids specifically.
Byron,
how many kids do you want?
I want 2, Junior. You gonna go find me some?
You said a few?
2.
Oh, you want 2?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, I have very good genes, so just let me know.
I knew that was coming. Coming. We're going for a third.
I'll let you know, Junior. I'll let you know.
All right. Let's stay on task, because we don't want Justin to have to edit a 10 million hour podcast as I'm watching the clock. Byron, go ahead before we go into the next question.
Rude is probably my number one thing. Like, you all know me and how nice and caring I am. So just like someone that's like super rude, like to the wait staff or just like other people, or just don't want to say high maintenance, but I guess for lack of a better term, high maintenance, or like a couple red flags for me while on a first date.
So Andrea brought up oversharing, and then Kassie brought up getting to some nitty gritty questions on the first date. So this one's for Andrea and Kassie. So when you're dating someone, when do you start to ask about like the things you're not like politics, beliefs, and like if their beliefs don't align with yours, but you like this person, what do you do? So Andrea first, then Cass.
Okay. So, I mean, beliefs for me, like especially religious beliefs, I don't mind talking about that on a first date. I feel like that touches into, at least for me, getting into like how I grew up and stuff. For me, if I'm talking to somebody about like my religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs, whatever, and they're trying to change my beliefs or trying to convert me, that's a no. I don't care what stage we're at. That's a no for me. Politics, I feel like for me, outright questions about politics come later. However, kind of talking about more nitty gritty overall topics, like Kassie mentioned, for me, I would kind of maybe sprinkle them in a little bit in a way that's more of an opinion that can go to a political affiliation rather than just flat out go, are you, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian? Like, I know people that are like that, and that's totally fine. I can't. I've also been in a relationship where political lines weren't necessarily synergistic, and that came to kind of bite us later down the line. So I think it's beneficial to know those things ahead of time, especially if you know kind of where your, like Kassie mentioned, knowing who you are, where your values lie, and what you're willing to compromise or not compromise on. So I don't think it's that bad to get into those types of things on a second, third, even first date.
Kassie.
No, I mean, I think the way that Andrea like phrased it is more of how I go about it. It's less about like, I don't really care if you're Republican or if you're a Democrat. Like, I want to know what your like opinions are on like the things that matter to me. So like, I want to know that these people are going to treat the people that I love in a respectable manner. And I think that is probably like the biggest part. The other thing is I really just genuinely like enjoy like conversations that are deeper. And that usually comes with bringing up politics, bringing up religion, bringing up like gun control. And those are things that like I'm passionate about and I have like opinions about, but it's also because I'm like always happy to have like a conversation about these things so that I also grow. So I don't ever like phrase it as like, oh, like I'm right and you're wrong. Regardless if I feel that way. But I think that it's more about like, those are the things that give me the ability to like understand, like, are we going to be able to have like an intelligent conversation about these things? Or like, you going to shut down on me when I say that I don't agree with you? So that's kind of like why I approach it that way. I also am just getting old and just don't really care anymore.
No. Byron Jr., Chelsea, anything you want to add on those?
I honestly don't give a fuck
About their beliefs or politics?
You believe what you want to believe. You're your own human being. Like, you can tell me all you want about your political views, your religion views. I'll listen, but I care less about that. That's not really gonna. That's just me personally, though. I don't really.
So that's with dating, though, right?
Yeah, I don't care.
So then, what if you actually plan to marry that person? Because then you're going to have a split household.
Hey, when that time comes, I'll think about it.
Okay. Anyway, Byron, Chelsea.
I know, like Andrea, I was with someone who did have differing political views, but I think that was more his family putting that on him. So I think the longer that we were together, not like, again, I'm not right or wrong, but like he kind of saw from my perspective and then was like, oh, I'm more open to this. But I think if the family isn't open to it as well, like I think that plays a factor. Because I know there were times at family dinners where they would bring up like, oh, well, we're voting for like this person because we believe in this, and just like say very ignorant things. I'm just like, hello, it's why are we discussing this in public if you're going to have that strong of a belief and say it in that manner? But two, if you do open up this door, you should also be willing to hear what the other person has to say. Like, it doesn't matter what you believe to a certain extent, but I think you should be willing to hear what the other person believes and what the other person has experienced and seen through like their eyes, you know?
Good answer. Byron?
I mean, on the first couple of dates, I'm probably not going to bring up religion or politics or like any of those taboo conversations. But if they want to bring it up, I'll engage in it. But just me personally, those first couple of dates, I just want it to be like enjoyable for like me and for like the other party. So I won't bring it up, but if they want to, I'll talk about it.
Next question. Since it's going to be a financial question, have to start with Junior. How important is it for like how much that person makes? Is that important to you?
I'll go last.
What?
I'll go last. Ask everyone else first. I'll go last.
By that answer, I already know his answer.
Hey, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Byron, is how much a person makes important to you?
Hell no.
Okay. Andrea?
No.
Chelsea?
No.
Kassie?
Not even a little bit.
Junior?
What was the question again? I'm so sorry.
Is how much a person makes financially important to you?
It's just like in a marriage or in like a relationship standpoint. What is it exactly?
I mean, if you're dating, most people are dating to end up getting married. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, what stage is it? Is it like a dating stage or a marriage? Like, I'm
You're getting close to marriage, Junior.
You said what?
You're getting
close to marriage.
I apologize. Honestly, no, it wouldn't matter.
Okay. So from everyone's answers, then, if they didn't make a certain amount of money and whatever, that's if you would have said yes, you wouldn't get rid of them. So everyone here would date someone who's dirt broke.
Depends on how you mean it. It depends on how you mean it. Because like you can be dirt broke, but doing something that you enjoy doing. It could just be like a money management issue, which is like a learned skill. Of course, if they're not willing to learn that skill, that's a whole nother issue. Or you could be like dirt broke, have no ambition. You're not trying to go anywhere. You're not actively like trying to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference. So like, how do you mean?
So based off what Kassie said, because Kassie was the one who stated that she would want 2 kids. If everyone here dated someone and the person was unemployed and you plan to marry them and plan to have kids, and then you also have to plan for the future that you are going to support, since Kassie put two kids on your own salary.
We could go 2.5 since that's the American dream, apparently.
That makes no sense.
Oh, 2.5?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, wow. Okay, we're going up in kids. Wow. All right.
So like you have to support 2 kids and your spouse on your own salary.
So can I jump in?
Sure.
All right. So I think there's, like Andrea said, like if there is somebody who's just going to sit on their butt and not do anything, that's a whole other issue. And that's a values difference. That's not a money difference. Like anybody that I'm going to be with better want to like hustle, because I'm not going to sit around and do stuff. I don't care if your hustle is making you money or not, but you better not just be sitting at home on your butt.
Whoa, pause. What do you mean by if your hustle doesn't make you money or not? That's debatable.
What do you mean?
So you're saying like if they're hustling, you don't care if they don't make money. That doesn't make any sense.
Like, I mean, I think there's part of this though that you need to think about. Like there are households where like one person's in school and like trying to do better, and the other person is full-time working.
Yeah,
like,
that is. Yep.
I think it's really important to recognize like there's different stages that people are at in their lives. And
Correct.
As long as you're doing something to better yourself, like that's a different story for me.
Fair.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're out there like, hustling or like following your passion to, end up making money, I mean, I'm going to support you 100%. But like, if you're lazy or just like not doing anything, like why would I want that around? Like, because if we end up doing it married, like I don't want those values instilled in our future kids. So like, if you're hustling and like everyone else, like if you're hustling and trying to go get out there and go get it, definitely support you until you make it.
Kassie, since you dropped the stat now that it's 2.5, has the stat changed that the number one reason for divorce, though, is still finances?
Not that I know of. But in all honesty, like, I forget if it's 50 or over 50% lead to divorce at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is like, I think we all joke that like you get your first divorce like around 30. Some of it is like we just got married sooner and now we're waiting longer. So I think that like the differences probably change a lot. I mean, finances can definitely be a huge stressor. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's still number one. But again, I think there's a difference between like being poor at money management and not being willing to like learn those skills, and like recognizing that like your financial like decisions have an impact on your spouse. I think that's really important to recognize, because the other thing is like I don't mind supporting somebody like going through their hustle, but like at some point or another I'm gonna trip and stumble, and like you're gonna have to pick up or like the not the pace, but like
The ball.
The
pick
load,
up
part
the
of the
slack
load.
while that's happening.
Mm-hmm. So Chelsea, because you own your home, like you're a homeowner, all of that. So then like how would you feel about this too? Like if you're dating someone and a couple of date, like Kassie said, you're getting close to potentially getting proposed to, but they haven't got off their butt, haven't hustled or anything like that. And what are you thinking about that?
I think if they're fundamentally not in like a let's have a movie day, like occasionally, but in a I don't want to do anything way, I don't think that would work. Like, I don't think everyone's going to be 100% happy in what they do. But as long as you're doing something and taking care of yourself, like your bills and like your needs, I think that's what matters. Because I mean, yeah, I have a home and that's great, but I can support myself. I don't think I could support someone else. Like just and I live my life because I don't want to sacrifice my hobbies or like going out with friends and spoiling my cats. You know, I don't want to make those sacrifices if I don't have to.
Good answer. Byron, Andrea, want to add anything else? Oh, Byron already said something, so my bad on that.
No, the only thing is when I heard your question, the first thing that popped in my head is like, well, I mean, for the longest time, it was understood that a woman, even if she was working, would stop working to like be a homemaker. So if this relationship had started where, you know, both people were contributing, but maybe my, you know, husband or boyfriend, whatever, we do have the 2 kids and he wants to be a stay-at-home dad, like I have no issue, like fundamental issue with that. But again, it just goes back to kind of the idea of, is it they have no motivation, they're lazy, they have no goals, or is it kind of like this is what they value more than working, or something else is going on? But that was honestly the first thing that came into my head when you asked the question about if, you know, they're not doing anything, you have the 2 kids, like you're going to be supporting this family. For the longest time, it was, you know, understood that that was what a man had to do for his whole family. So it's like, I can see why some people still like that dynamic, because then it's understood who has what roles. But I think overall, some of the more healthy marriages, relationships that I've seen, both partners are doing, you know, both working, both splitting up house chores and all that type of stuff equally, or there's some type of agreement conversation around who's doing more of what for whatever reason.
So this next one, Junior already talked about calling the screens and dating apps bullshit. So we'll just start with Junior then. I think this one's going to be do you trust any of those things?
Trust what exactly?
Dating
Just like
apps.
the apps?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have that shit, but I mean, my fucking best friend and his wife are married because of Tinder. So like, and they have a beautiful daughter. So like, I definitely support that. If it's actually like, if it leads up to that, but other than that, I personally feel like it's useless if you're just a horny person that wants to fuck. But I mean, other than that, I don't really see the point in those dating apps.
Anyone else? Do you guys trust them? Like, do you trust them? And if people do lie on their profiles, what do you do if you go on a date with someone and
Patrick.
Oh my God. I knew that was coming. Poor Patrick.
Not even here to defend himself.
He never is.
Well, Justin banned him from the podcast, and he had never got on one, and he got banned.
Oh man!
But on his credit, though, he wasn't the one who typed the stuff. It was someone else who typed it. He didn't check the work, though, so he let someone write his work and didn't review it.
So liable for that.
That is true. You're still liable. But Kassie, have you ever been catfished on any of those apps or anything like that?
No, I mean, I think, in all honesty, like I've never had anything that I would call catfishing. I don't really think that anybody's ever necessarily lied to me. I will say that there are people, and I understand it because it's a little bit more of a touchy subject. Like sometimes people aren't upfront about the fact that they have kids. They don't say that they don't have kids. They just don't mention the kids. Which, I mean, if you're a little bit more wary of like dating apps, I can understand why you wouldn't sometimes. But I mean, like the worst that I've gotten is probably like old photos, but it's never been to the point where I'm like, oh, this is like a catfish or anything. So I've never really run into that issue. I think TV makes it a much bigger deal than it ever actually is. I don't know if any of you have been catfished. I haven't. And I assume at this point I would have come across it.
Byron, Chelsea, Andrea, any of you ever been catfished?
I have not been catfished.
I have not.
Oh,
I've never been on a dating app, so no.
Great. So, Andrea, since you never are those some of your fears for like when you eventually try and get on a dating app?
Honestly, no. I hadn't really considered it. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's more of a vapid concern to have. What I'm more concerned about is people being kind of surface level and getting on dating apps and just kind of scrolling past. That's what I'm most afraid of because I've just never done it. I mean, also, I have no idea what I do after I like send a message saying hi or I get a message saying hi. I will say one of my worst fears about getting on a dating app is just the unsolicited, explicit photos because I've never been on a dating app, but I've still gotten those. Thank you, Snapchat. Sarcastic, dripping with sarcasm.
I'm sure no one was able to hear that through the airwaves.
Making it clear, just making it abundantly clear.
So do people on here know like the new phenomenon, like the metaverse and all of that?
Kind of.
Sort of.
Not really.
Okay, so on Zuckerberg's world network of 3D virtual worlds focus on social connections.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is the new thing now, and if people have seen it, people have gotten married in there. They've gotten married, which is why my next question is like now with this new thing of virtual reality, and some of these people get married to a metaverse other person's character, but never meet the actual person in real life. But their weddings get solemnized and all of that. Do you think from hearing that, that's going to be good or bad for dating as a whole?
I think that's horrible, personally. Like, you can build yourself to be someone that you're not online. Like, I think it's very easy for people to become false confident by knowing that you're never going to meet the person. So I have an issue with that.
This just like reeks of like that Ready Player One stuff.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I mean, if you haven't seen it, you should probably watch it before you decide to get married in the metaverse. That's from a psychology standpoint, that's just a terrifying thought, in all honesty.
Andrea, Byron, Jr., anyone want to add on that?
That's just a whole level of weird that I don't want to be a part of. But
hey, in 10 years, it could be the next Tinder.
That is true. That's Zuckerberg in charge of that. You can promote.
But Zuckerberg is weird too. I mean, have you seen the guy?
Jesus.
So it makes sense that this would be a part of his world. But I mean, to each his own. I personally find it weird, and I personally would never do it. But if it, sure, whatever.
To each their own.
Yeah.
I guess from a traditional sense, how do you like tell your parents I was proposed to, or I'm proposing? Oh, okay, great. When do we get to meet him or her? Oh, I mean, you get to log into the metaverse, and then you can meet their metaverse character who we're getting married in. Here, we already have a metaverse officiate. So,
does this conversation make us all old now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably.
I just think that's illogical to get married to an avatar and then send money to that person. Oh, I can't pay for my metaverse house. Can you send $1,500?
See, but people do that with their real house. Oh my gosh.
Alimony, child support.
Yeah, when you have a metaverse child.
Jesus.
I'm just saying.
Everybody wants to live in a world that's not the real world, but make it as much like the real world as possible.
That's true. That's true.
0 cents.
So next one, we got to start with Chelsea, Miss Social Media herself. So do you think social media is helping or hurting the dating experience? More specifically, I know you see it. We talk about it all the time. And all telling people saying women all say that all men cheat, a very classic line, or social media people, other podcasts telling men that they can't trust these hoes. So, I mean, those are the two lines. So, Chelsea, what do you think about those messages and how social media is affecting people's dating mindsets?
I think, honestly, it's kind of having a negative impact. One for the cheating aspect, because I mean, we know people who use Snapchat as a means to talk to other people that they should not be, in the sense that something will happen, something has already happened. So then if you see that on their phone, if just by glancing, I've never gone through someone's phone and I don't think I ever will, but if you saw it pop up, you would immediately be suspicious. Or if they're posting just certain aspects of a relationship, because you can glamorize it. I mean, on TikTok, you kind of see it this is what we did on this weekend. We went on a romantic getaway and spent X amount of money. So then you see that, why isn't this happening to me? I think people can fall into that trap easily. And then I think people overcompensate too when it comes to social media, in the sense that they want to be seen as an outgoing, super social, this is what I've got going on person, and not actually look at what's in front of them.
Good answer. Anyone else about social media helping, hurting? Those two lines said from women and men. Anything else?
I mean, people are so impressionable that they'll believe anything. So I think social media does play an aspect and probably doing more harm than good in dating, because not all men cheat and not all women are unloyal, but there are some.
Oil.
He's just burying his vocab, Martin.
I know.
Right. So yeah, I think in that aspect, I think social media is hurting, because people believe, oh well, everyone else says all men cheat, so then all men must cheat, which is not true. So I think you just have to pick and choose what you believe in social media.
Junior, you brought up social media early. What do you think about those statements and what social media is doing as a whole?
It's poison. It's just poison when it comes to the relationship aspect and dating, because because I know a lot of people that post their significant others, whatever, on social media, but and then they act like they're happy couple, blah blah blah, but you don't know what the hell's going on behind closed doors. I know a good amount of people that they post their significant other, but they're cheating on each other. You know what I mean? So I just feel like it's just really poison as a whole. And that's why I would never really, when it comes to my dating life, I never post any of that shit on social media, because I know it's just, like I said, it's just bullshit. People don't really see what's going on behind closed doors.
Kassie?
I mean, I think social media is just probably in general, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. Like, I don't think it's necessarily something that's unique to dating. I think we all see everybody's highlight reel, and it makes everybody think that everybody's got stuff that they don't really have.
Correct.
But I mean, I think Junior's right. Like, I mean, I've been in relationships where posts have been perfectly happy. I don't want to tell anybody my business on social media, so it looks like it's a great relationship. And then you get to the end of it, and people are like, "Oh, we had no idea that it was about to end." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, because I keep my stuff to myself." But I mean, that causes an issue on the other side if you're the person like who's single, looking at all these like posts and stuff of these happy couples. Like, it feels like you don't have something that they have, even if they don't truly have it either.
Oh.
Andrea?
I mean, I would just be echoing what Junior and Kassie and Chelsea and Byron just said. I mean, my biggest thing with it, being single, and I haven't been on a date in over a year. I do see a lot of like the couples and stuff, and it makes me miss being in a relationship. But then I actively have to tell myself, like, wait a minute, you're nowhere near ready to be getting into anything like that. And I mean, like Kassie said earlier, any good thing has a bad side, like double-edged sword. It's one of those things where you need to be self-aware of any of these tendencies that you're doing, like comparing your life to the highlight reel of everybody else's. Like, it's not healthy. It's not a good thing to do. You can only lose in those situations. But like Kassie said, it's not unique to dating. It applies to life in general, everything on social media. But yeah.
I do want to backtrack when Chelsea was talking about Snapchat, how she was blatantly talking about Tristan Thompson. Just saying, good on you. One of the last questions, and we'll definitely start off with Junior because this is his favorite question. In this current climate right now, do you still want to get married, and for what benefit?
Oh, goddamn, no. I'm last. I'm last.
Come on, Junior.
Come on, Junior. You got called first.
Yeah, no. I'll definitely go last. Because Martin knows my answer.
I know his
answer.
answer, so that's why I wanted him to go first. But I don't care who goes first. Everyone's gonna have to. It's everyone's question. So, because a lot of people are saying they don't want to get married because of the current climate and not being able to trust their partner.
I picked Byron to go first.
Kassie, you can go first. Kassie, you can go first.
I was gonna say, don't let the youngest in the group call the shots.
Hey, now, easy now. We don't want to get rowdy.
Go ahead, Kassie.
I mean, if I'm perfectly honest, like, yeah, I still want to get married. I know, and I recognize why a lot of people don't. But I also know that if I don't keep trying and I don't keep putting myself out there, like, I might miss out on something great. And I've been hurt before. I can put myself back together. It's not a big deal. I mean, obviously it sucks when it happens, but the reality is like, you gotta, the reward is equal to the risk, right? So you don't risk it, you're never going to get the reward on the other side of it either. And I think that I recognize that not all people cheat, not all people are disloyal. I've never been disloyal, so I think that's one of those things. Like, if I find the right person and I trust them, like, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's scary, but trusting anybody's scary.
Good answer. Byron?
Eventually, yes, I do want to get married. That hasn't changed.
Man, nice and to the point, period. Okay. Chelsea?
I mean,
Byron has more. See, he had an exclamation, he had a comma.
I mean, like I said, nothing has changed. Like, yes, you get hurt and pick yourself back up again, but like, eventually I know I want to get married and have kids and just have that life with someone.
2.5 kids, right, Byron?
Yep, 2.5 kids. Yep.
That's such a bad snap. Okay. Chelsea?
I definitely would like to get married, but I'm not rushed to. like I'm 28, but that doesn't mean anything. I think people who put like timestamps on when they want to achieve things are not necessarily setting themselves up for failure, but I think they're more setting themselves up for disappointment. I mean, not everything happens when you think it could, so I'm not in a rush. And I think it's also harder for me personally. Like I know I don't want to have kids. Like that's something I will never want. I've never wanted kids. I'm not budging on that. And I think finding someone who shares that with you is hard, because then people are like, oh, well, you never know. You might change your mind. It's like, I haven't my whole life. I don't have motherly instincts. I will be a great aunt, but
if it makes you feel better. I have a friend who literally just got her tubes removed, and that is the first thing she tells everybody about.
Yeah, like I think that's amazing. And I'm sure that she probably had to jump through a lot of hoops because most doctors aren't willing to consider that, especially if she's under the age of 35.
Yep,
like no,
she is.
Good for her.
That's amazing.
She did it. She made it happen. And it was the happiest day of her life. I drove her to the surgery.
Oh, man. Andrea?
I'll say no in the sense that like the current climate doesn't make me not want to get married. I personally am of the opinion right now, I don't know if I ever want to get married or have kids. I am very much in an I don't know situation, which is why I said earlier, I am not in any sort of position to be dating anybody because I don't know most of what I truly want out of my life going forward. So I don't think the current climate discourages me from wanting to get married. I think I just have some personal stuff about why I don't want to get married. Maybe. And then maybe I do. So
Junior?
It just, damn, it's just tough.
Junior, you better make this good because we had to wait.
yeah, seriously.
Hey, easy. I'm trying to be professional on the podcast.
Really? You dropped the F-bomb how many times?
Hey, I apologize. I'm a blunt person and I just talk the way I talk. But no, I'll be honest with you though. Like it took. So if I do get married, my significant other will have to sign a prenup. That's just point blank period. Because I know my financial position, and I don't want to get fucked over at the end if we get divorced. If I'm going to be honest with you, because I personally cannot trust women nowadays. So the only way I'm actually ever going to get married is if my significant other signs a prenup. If she doesn't sign a prenup, I'm not getting married. Cool. If you want kids, sure, I'll help you out by any means, but I'm not. Yeah, like I'm being serious. Like you will have to sign a prenup for me to even think about getting married. But other than that, I have no issue being single the rest of my life. You know, I have no issue with that. But that's just me personally.
Well, Junior did bring up a good point with the prenups and how that is a very touchy subject among couples. For everyone else, would you consider wanting a prenup just because divorces are 50% or more? Or do you not want a prenup?
Could I say something first?
Sure.
All right. So first of all, sorry, Junior, I started laughing with the whole I'll help you out however I can with the kids. My bad.
Oh, you're fine. I laugh too, so sorry.
How I feel about prenups, I don't mind signing a prenup. I don't mind if they want me to sign a prenup. My big thing about prenups is technically, if anyone gets married legally, if you don't have your own personal prenups in place, you are consenting to the state, regulated prenup, the state statutes of what happens after a divorce. So having a prenup in a marriage makes it more personal of what happens between the two of you without, just letting it go to however the state decides. Things get cut up. So I don't think prenups are a bad thing. I don't think they're taboo. I understand why people feel like, oh, well, if you sign a prenup, that means you don't believe you're going to make it. Technically, the state already has something in place for everybody that doesn't make it. So you might as well have something that the two parties can agree on.
Hey, trust me, I talk to my attorney every fucking day, so I'm ready. If that time comes, I got the prenup ready.
Chelsea, Byron.
I don't mind prenups if you make it personal. Like, I know I'm not the type of person to go after someone financially, I think, unless they were horrible, but I don't think I'd put myself in that situation. But I think prenups are a good idea because you can set boundaries. Like, if you know you're going to have kids, you can kind of figure that stuff out then and include that instead of letting whatever's happening in a relationship destroy you too. And you can go through different scenarios and kind of cover those hard details with a lot of people. But I think it should be personal between both of the people. I'm not opposed to it.
Byron.
I am.
Byron's been thinking.
I'm the opposite. I think prenups are bullshit. I just do. I would never make someone sign a prenup, or I wouldn't expect them to make me sign a prenup. I feel like you guys should be able to figure all that out before you get married. And if you can't, then maybe you don't need to get married.
That's a very valid point.
Last question before we do closing remarks, and anyone can go first when I ask this. So if everyone here was on a date with someone and they straight asked you dead in your eye, you can't say anything sexual or anything like that. What do you offer me in a relationship? What would you say if you have an answer?
I got an answer, and it's exactly why I don't date. I got basically nothing at this moment. I can give you all the support. I can send you hella memes if you want, but like, I am not in a place to be dating right now. So that's why I don't go on dates.
Good answer. Anyone else?
I don't know how to answer this.
I mean, if a girl asks you, Byron, like, what do you offer me in a relationship, and you can't say sex, what are you going to say?
All right, fine.
Easily for me, like, if it gets to the point, they'll be taken care of the rest of their life. They don't have to worry about anything on my end, on my aspect, but that's just my personal situation. So would it be security then?
Mm-hmm.
But what if you're dating someone who's above you and they don't need that?
Or don't want it.
Or don't want it.
See, why are you guys throwing all these other factors? There's no need to throw these other factors. You guys should just let it be with my answer. But what was your part, Biggie?
No, I was just saying, like, if you're dating someone above you financially and they don't need your finances, what are you going to say?
That's perfect. So win-win in both situations then. And then who else asked another part?
That was me. I said, what if they don't want to be like taken care of?
And that's cool. You do your own thing.
Kassie, Chelsea, Byron.
For me personally, I would just say, I'm loyal, caring. I can make you laugh sometimes, maybe not all the time, but I can make you laugh.
yes, he can. Absolutely, he can laugh. He can make people laugh.
I think just being loyal is probably my biggest aspect of what I can offer someone.
Chelsea, Kassie.
Byron also has a really good choice in cookies. So
yes, he does. He does.
Thank you.
This is actually an advertisement for Byron to get a date.
Yes. Yes, date Byron. 2022.
Hey Byron, this weekend we'll go out. I'll hook you up.
Bring the captain's hat.
Can you please take like a GoPro and record that entire experience?
Byron, leave the captain hat at home, please.
All right. Chelsea, Kassie.
I think for me, I can offer support, not financial support, because I support myself, but I think like emotional support and just being like a kind person and being there for someone. Like, to me, those values. So like, that's what I can bring. Like, I can be there when times are really hard and be someone like that can support someone like in that route. And I can be there for the great times too. And I think just like emotional support and kindness.
I see.
I mean, kind of like Byron, like I'm loyal, probably loyal to a fault, if I'm gonna be honest. But I also think that like you're not gonna have any like bigger cheerleader in your corner. Like if you want to go out and do something, like I'm happy to help support you in doing that as long as it's legal. I would really prefer to not be involved in illegal things. But I think that's like the biggest part though, is like I'm here for the long haul. I'm not here just like for like that's what I'm looking for in life. So like if that's what you want, that's what I'm here for. I'm gonna push you to think and I'm gonna push you to be better, but I expect the same from my partner for me.
Good answers. Good answers. Since this did turn for the last couple of minutes of get Byron a date, Byron, you go ahead, do the closing for the podcast.
Thank you for listening to this very special Valentine's episode of the L7C podcast. Check out our YouTube, Facebook, Discord, Twitter. We have our own website, so check out all those. And of course, check out the other podcasts that we have. We got some great episodes out there. We got some great episodes coming. This is the L7C podcast signing out.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.